uh, um, my phone right now, I don't know. So um, the last thing that this police says to me is that he gave me his hand and he said, "I need you to promise me that if I let you graduate, that you're not gonna harm anyone there." I could not fucking believe what I was hearing. I was being put.
Yeah, that. Oof, I have
Yeah,
no words.
yeah. So here I am, literally breathing, just breathing in line to graduate, and that's what happened. So essentially, and I had mentioned something about living with HIV in that interaction because I was validly upset, and so I ended because this incident happened. I had to meet with the chair the following Monday because I was essentially I didn't get to sign those papers. And then when I go to this chair, the chair lady, she's saying that oh, Miss Davis had an emergency that day and she couldn't finalize grading those papers. And I felt like I feel like they're covering up for her or something. Because
Probably.
I had a valid claim about what was being done to me. And she said, and she told me, and I told her my concern is that because they already knew, I'm sure they already spoke about what had happened. Like I had one, and it's a sweet sort of comment, but at the same time it felt misplaced. Like one of the classmates' parents, she was telling me that her parents were saying to her that, oh, if he was my nurse, I wouldn't mind it. So they were talking about me living with HIV, and it's like I had been outed previously for that, and I didn't really talk to anyone about it. I didn't want to because I felt like they would misunderstand. I didn't like there was just so many incidences where I felt like I they wouldn't give me the proper conversation about that, so there was no point. And so essentially, I end up like being surprised by that comment when I was told, but at the same time, it was like I didn't tell you to talk about my personal life to other people about me living with HIV and things. Like I don't know what they decide to talk about. Like I wasn't like giving them the permission to do that. Like I didn't. So, anyways, so winter break comes is what I had mentioned, and I've been so I'm living with PTSD previously from that, and so I'm having a lot of agitation because it's like, well, how am I going to engage with these instructors when I go back to sign these papers? Because the winter break ended about a week ago, and I still haven't gone because I'm every day I wake up and I feel like, okay, and the last thing. Okay, so two things. Previously, sometime in November, I was late. I was by one instructor. I was given a late slip. It had a shoe mark on it, and I took a picture of it. So it looked like basically because this instructor had some sort of. It felt like she just did not want to engage with me at all. Like I would message her about school questions, and she was dismissive. Like she didn't even want to answer my questions. And so I felt like, why doesn't this lady at least treat me with respect? And so I get a late slip with a shoe mark, like as if she stepped on it and then gave it to me. And so then I took a picture of it, and when I did my academic grievance, I included that picture because I thought, okay, maybe the instructors were organizing some sort of replacement speaker. Because guess what? That Thursday, when they said we don't have time for this meaningful message anymore, like it's just we're not able to do it, so you're not able to speak. Guess what? During the graduation, they end up having another student give a meaningful message. They asked him, give a meaningful message. So, in my eyes, they literally did that deliberately. They replaced me as a student speaker.
Yeah.
I have no idea why, and they gave it to someone else when I was already confirmed to do that. So I feel like I've been discriminated, and I literally was respectful and generous towards these people. So it ended up feeling like it doesn't matter that I probably graduated, like I was probably one of the ones with the highest grades in the course, and it doesn't matter because I'm living with HIV. It doesn't matter. Like in the experience of it, I still came out in last place because the things that I was supposedly designated to do, they were just replacing me without even telling me. And so that really it hurt my spirit because it's like I don't understand why this happened. And so given the fact that then the following day I had that interaction that happened to me with Miss Davis, I don't know what to expect of the future. Like I don't know if I'm gonna encounter more people, and maybe I will, but like I'm trying to sort of process this so that I can better handle it for myself, because I just don't feel like I was given the opportunity to be treated well. I felt like they were just biased against me. Even if I did well, even if I was in the top 1% of the nursing graduates in the nation. So and then I get a text message, and here's the thing. I don't after that incident, I don't get any messages from anybody, from any instructor. It just and they were there. They were walking the hallway when this, I guess, police interrogation was happening. They were just there walking the hallway. No one really seemed to care about me. And that's where I'm at now. I'm like, okay, I guess not only was I essentially, I feel like she did that because I said that I was going to place an academic grievance. So she was trying to make me seem like the bad person so that she doesn't look like the bad person. That's sort of what I felt was what happened. And so it just feels like it didn't even matter that I graduated, because if I were to apply to school, what are they going to say about me? Like as far as I know, I didn't mention this. Miss Furlow, who I asked to participate in pinning, and she was there to witness the grading paper part. So she was in school is what I'm trying to say. She was there. She didn't even show up. She didn't even show up to the graduation. So it's like, you didn't have to say yes. You didn't have to agree.
Right. Like, it was a big deal.
It's not. So what I'm saying is, like, all of these people seem to be biased against me, and now I don't even know if I were to go to school, what is it? What are they going to say? Like what? Like, are they really that biased against me? And so, like, I'm trying to prepare to speak to the chair, because this lady is a new person. She literally came into the school hired like sometime in November or December, so she wasn't there throughout the whole year. And so when I meet her the following Monday, I say, I told her my concerns and everything, and she would say, no, you graduated, you're gonna graduate, like that's certain. So the winter break happened, and Miss Davis wasn't available to sign these papers, and now it's a month later. So I still have to go back and do this, but it's like I'm trying to prepare. I feel like I'm going to be emotional, because if I notice that they're sort of dismissing what happened, and it's sort of like it doesn't matter to them, it just makes me feel more like I was being discriminated, because they don't understand what it's like to live with HIV. They don't understand that I'm always having PTSD because there are people that don't care about that. They don't care about my well-being. So I don't know what they would say to if I were to continue going to school. And I'm I that's something that I'll have to talk about with this particular I guess with the chair, or I don't know, because I that's the thing, like at this point, at first I really wanted to have like an in-depth conversation and sort of like have them understand my point of view and all that. And then like the past week or so, I've been so depressed. I'm like, I just want to move on, and I'm gonna be viewed as like, oh, he's just being like upset and like essentially dismissing what happened to me. And it just continues piling up that, okay, whatever I do, they're just biased against me. It just doesn't matter. And I just don't care. I just don't care anymore. It's at this point, like, I can't control that, whether they do or don't care. I feel like I was discriminated. And if I go, then I just have to sign these papers, apparently, and then I just move on with my life. But it just feels like, reflecting on it, I don't know that anyone has ever gone through what I went through. So I'm having a singular experience, and it just feels very difficult to have to engage with people when you feel like, oh, they may just actively be trying to like dismiss this. And that's sort of and that's sort of why I guess I feel like I've been relating to that Renee Good situation, because like I guess there are people out there that will cover up for things and they'll minimize the victim's experience. So I made this phone call because I sort of wanted to have, I wanted to process, I guess, sort of my feelings. And the other part is, so the time where I was outed living with HIV it was related to, so what had happened is, for the past 1,000 days, 1,000 days, so 3 years from 2023 till now, I'm living in Texas, and my mom, so we're in San Antonio, but this happened like 4 hours south of San Antonio, where I grew up. My mom became a target of a false accusation. And there are multiple parties involved. And so what I'm trying to say is, not only did I go through that in nursing school, there's something even worse that happened that compiled with everything. And it's given me the feeling that, okay, there are very cruel people in the world that don't care about me. They don't care about my well-being, because if they cared about civilians, they wouldn't abuse them. So what I'm trying to say is, my mother was accused of having illegal monies. Essentially, what that means is as if because I was not working at that point in time, and I play piano, I write songs. That's something that I'm very passionate about, and so I'm at home minding my own business, and eventually in 2023, the landlord, so this was a duplex apartment, so there's two people living in one building, but there's a wall in between, okay? So the landlord ends up okaying for a law enforcement stakeout operation, okay? This sounds incredible, but it's what happened. They moved in there. They break in and enter into our living space whenever we're not there. What I'm going to say is trauma-inducing. They tortured my mom and I, and this is the part where you're like, what does that mean? What that means is, My mom was so my mom found out because we lived in that neighborhood for about 20 years or so, or at least my mom did, and my parents did. And they tell my mom, they're telling us that the police are deciding to investigate you because they're accusing you of having illegal monies. They say that Ivan's not working and that you have a lot of money. So they're just assuming that you have illegal monies. Like, what the fuck? So they end up having this, and so throughout that year, 2023, 2024, we go to attorneys, and they keep telling us, they might be acting outside the court of law. They might be because we're saying that they're breaking and entering into our living space, which we don't know. So what I'm saying is there are people being hired into law enforcement in Texas, literally to break the law, to break and enter into living spaces, and to steal your property. So I'm going to fast forward. This did happen, and also experts in plumbing, they would turn off. See, this is the part where the attorneys were saying, okay, we need to prove this. So what happened is my mom, who mostly speaks Spanish, whenever we would bathe, we had a working heater, a water heater. So apparently the person that's living next door, who is a law enforcement person, and also we know because they were using fake plates, that person was an expert in plumbing. And essentially, when we even recorded this, whenever we would bathe, they would turn off the hot water. So we were being forced to bathe in cold water in the wintertime. Yes, in the wintertime. And this was only possible because we shared plumbing with the other person in the building, and they were all doing this covertly. We no longer trust the law enforcement. We see that there are things that they do that are illegal, just like the murder of Renee Good. So fast forward to San Antonio. We end up moving to San Antonio. We were essentially exiled from Rio Grande City because my mom, people, Jehovah's Witnesses, they come to our door, and my mom talks to people because she's friendly. They come to our door, they talk to her, and she says, you have to choose between God or Ivan. You have to choose between God or Ivan. So essentially, I was literally being attacked from all sides. And I'm already an adult. What the fuck? So anyways,
right.
fast forward to San Antonio this past year and a half. We're living in in-town suites, an extended stay hotel, and the same thing happens to us here. This very moment, this device that I'm using has been surveilled from outside the court of law, because this is what the civil rights attorneys tell us. So what I'm trying to tell you is that for the past 1,000 days, I have been deprived of normal sexual encounters. I can prove this because I have video and photos. I grew up with the internet. I know if a phone is malfunctioning or not. There are interactions that cyber division employees are disabling certain functions of the phone. There's certain like on YouTube, there are certain things that are happening to my devices and on my Google account, there is a Mac computer that I don't even own. So someone hacked into so what I'm saying is there are many incidences of my devices being hacked. And so here where I'm living, next door, there is a law enforcement undercover person. And when we were outside of this room, no one was here. They broke and entered into this room. They stole my HIV documents. They stole my parents' marriage and financial documents. They stole my Nintendo Switch and my laptop. And everything that I'm telling you right now is most likely being heard by the person who is surveilling this device for the past 1,000 days. So I have been deprived of normal sexual encounters. I cannot have nudes. I cannot have conversations with people through dating sites because they are literally watching my screen as if they had it in their very hands. And that's the part where the attorneys are saying, we need you to compile all the evidence that you can because these people, these events that are happening to your family are outside the court of law. And then we were thinking, well, why would they steal my parents' marriage documents? So essentially, part of that investigation of her having illegal monies was an accusation that she wasn't even a legal resident. The past month or so, there was some sort of national news about like a couple dozen people being deported. And I don't know if that was legal or not. That my point is that this literally, what was national news happened maybe a month ago, and it was literally like 5 minutes from me where I'm at. So we felt like, okay, so my mom became a target of deportation as well. So everything cruel that could happen to a person has been happening for the past 2 years. And I am not that strong to not take my own life. I can't. I question every day, when is dead being safer than being tortured alive by people that have no respect for your well-being? I want to fire these motherfuckers. It's not fair what's being happened to me, my family. For them to cover it up, what they're doing. And Mr. Mazarak, my nursing instructor, because I would tell them, this is happening to me when I'm taking exams. My computer is being disabled in some way that I cannot access the exams, and I tell them this. And so, because I think that some of them are more Republican leaning or far right wing leaning, I think that they probably think, oh, the police are always these perfect people. They're like the embodiment of perfection. And so I think that, so what happened, how I was outed living with HIV is because we were having our property stolen. My mom gives me luggage with a lock, and I take it to school, okay? I was not thinking about my instructor. I was thinking about, okay, we don't want our stuff stolen. So I take it to school, and Mr. Mazarak essentially, in class, in front of everyone, sort of like questions me, why do you have a luggage with a lock or whatever? And the first thing that comes to my mind is to tell him, well, my HIV documents were stolen, not realizing that I outed myself. And in that conversation, I had an emotional outburst, and I don't remember right now exactly what. I just got emotional because a lot was happening. And so, given the fact that I was sort of being ridiculed in my class with those people, I end up putting like, I didn't give a positive review. That's the one time I didn't really give a positive review of my experience in with my teacher, because even though I respected him with his intelligence for nursing, I felt like people were being biased against me. So because I had told him, okay, my mom and I are facing this situation with law enforcement, I was trying to talk to people so that they could maybe understand what was happening to me and maybe think, okay, maybe what's happening to them is wrong and immoral. But now I realize that there are people that are going to be pro-cruelty. I guess they just are. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I really go in depth with my point of view or my experiences. It just feels like there are people who are just going to be blind to that. And so I'm having a hard time, clearly, because I'm not someone who's trying to cover up for the things that we've been going through. And so my mom puts a bunch of police reports and things that have happened to us. Like this past week, my dad uses a wheelchair, and there's a cushion that he uses, and it was in the car vehicle. Okay, so that's what happened with the car vehicle. The most egregious thing besides the breaking and entering, is that when we filed a 911 report of robbery of our stuff, because my Nintendo Switch and my laptop was in my car, we called 911. And then when they show up, they say, we don't investigate because we believe that you left your car open. And if you left your car open, then you sort of were asking to be robbed. But my mom and I were like, no, no, no. We know that you know that there are cyber division employees literally robbing us. So essentially, they're covering up for themselves. They're covering up for themselves because if what I'm trying to say is, I looked up Institute for Justice, which is a law firm in Texas, and I think it's a national law firm. I looked up Lambda, which is a LGBT-related attorney law firm, and I think they work with HIV individuals. I looked up other attorneys. I looked up a lot of different avenues, and I keep being told that you have a civil rights case against you, but given the political nature of far right-wing people, they're trying to cover up for law enforcement employees who act outside the court of law. So I'm up against multiple things that is very cruel and unfair to me and my family. So I am trying to overcome this. I'm trying to be well, and I don't need to respect these people. Like, essentially, I'm sure that I probably sound very emotional about this, but I am just trying to accept that there are people that really just don't care about your well-being, and I'm just trying my best to stay alive, because these people, if it were up to them, I would be Renee Good. I would be dead, and they would not give a fuck about that. So yes, this is I probably could go on, but I'm not going to. I feel like that's sort of like the core of why I felt like I wanted to talk to someone in more LGBT spaces. And what I didn't finish the car part. The car part is I just feel like they didn't investigate themselves, because they would know that if they hire people to rob you, they're not going to investigate themselves. So they're basically framing us as saying we didn't lock the car, but my mom literally locks the car all the time because these robberies have been happening. So, it's safe to say that I don't think these people are honorable. I think that they are immoral, and I don't know if justice is going to be on my side, because I feel like anti-justice is what's happening to me. And the attorneys, they just say, well, compile as much evidence as you can, because, again, you're living in a far right-wing state where not everyone is going to, or there will be people that are going to cover up for what they're doing, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. I don't expect you.
It's just a lot, right? It's a lot for one person, and events like, what happened to Renee Good are triggering, and they're triggering for a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons, right? And it's hard to process through that period when nothing's going on, but then when it also kind of reminds you of what's happened to you, but also makes you nervous about the future. It is a lot, and I'm glad you called to kind of talk through some of it.
Yes, I feel like I was able to vent, and I appreciate you listening. I feel like you are someone who engaged with my conversation. I very much appreciate it, because I don't have that. I do. For example, I do have like an HIV doctor, and I sort of mentioned some of the things that I mentioned before, and I do have therapy. But and even the therapist and the doctor may imply that they believe what's happening to me. But that's the thing, like, if you're being actively abused, then it doesn't matter if you get antidepressants. That they are still abusing. So my mom and I are still trying to figure out what's next for us. I have to go back to the school and sign these papers, and then I guess go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to know. My only kind of question with that is, so is it just a nursing school, or is it like the nursing school is a division of a larger college or university?
Yeah, it's a local Alamo college, so it's a college. It's a recognized college.
Yeah. So, like, is there, usually colleges will have like an ombudsman's office or like a victim's advocate office to kind of support, you know what I mean? So that I understand the nursing school may be a bit tainted right now, but is there kind of a next level out of the department that you think you could get support from?
It could be possible. I'll have to look at that because, like I said, it's been about a week since the school really opened. I'm not sure if I got an email from the academic agreements that I filed. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I don't even care about this lady being fired. That's not the point. I don't care about that. It's more like I felt like did they not understand? Just like they were just deliberately making a false accusation out of nowhere, because like that came out of nowhere. So maybe there is an ombudsman. Maybe I can look into that, but I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I mean, it might be, if you do have to kind of move forward with anything, it would be good to maybe check that out just so that you have an extra support system.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that, because I do need that support system.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important.
Thank you, Miss Rose. Thank you.
Oh, of course. Thank you for calling. Feel free to give us a call back if you need to talk through anything else. And I hope you got a lot going on. I hope you take some time to take care of yourself.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Evan. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.